وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. I'll read them again one more time because I think people are finding a little bit misunderstanding this particular matter here. What is the ruling of a Muslim in which there's been a lot of months of Ramadan that have passed? He says a lot of years, numerous years, without any siyam, even though he's establishing the rest of his duties, and he had no hindrance, no a'iq, no hindrance, nothing to hinder him from fasting. Is it binding upon him to make it up to al-qada if he made tawbah? If he made tawbah. So due to the fact that he knew he was what? He had knowledge. When a person makes tawbah, then it shows that they had ilm, had knowledge. And all these years passed by him, a lot of Ramadans, he didn't what? He didn't do it at all. What is correct is, like he said, if he made tawbah, there's no qada, he doesn't have to make it up if he made tawbah. He said, because every worship that has been prescribed for a specific time, and a person now, on purpose, takes it out of its time without any excuse, no excuse, for verily Allah doesn't accept it from him. So upon this, then there's no qada. In this particular instance, there's no what? Qada. Like, let's just say now, in regards to the woman, there's no person that doesn't have to make it up in the sister. Let's say for the sister who's a little girl. She's a little girl, and she had to what? Her meds came on at 9. Right, everyone? Meds came on at 9, but she was afraid to tell her father that she's what? Mensing. Type. Now, let's just say she missed some days a month of Ramadan, or a whole month from last year. What do we say? Due to her ignorance, do we say, no, last year you don't have to do it? We still command her to what? To make up those days, even though she does not have to make, even though she doesn't have to make tawbah. Excuse due to ignorance. But she still, as much as possible, to what? She still have to make up those days in which she was mentioned. She have to make up those days. She could separate the days. She could do 15 for the first 6 months or a year, or what have you, 6 to 7 months, she could do 15. She could fast like 4 days out of every month, due to the fact that she was ignorant. I think a lot of people are getting the concept that she has to do consecutively. No, she doesn't. Like the whole month of Ramadan, it's a lot of days to make up. If you break down the days for each month, 4 days out of each month, it's not a lot. 4 or 5 days every month of fasting. By the time, like I said, after, let's just say, after the 4th, 5th month, finish, basically. Right, everyone? Finish. So that's what it was saying. If a person if this is their case, then they will what? Make it up. But as far as that person that was neglectful for those long period of times, for those months in which he on purpose did it, then like we said, that person needs tawbah. He should make tawbah, especially if it's been years accumulated and he did it and neglected it on purpose. Knowing what he was doing was incorrect. In contrast to a person that's excused. Person that's ignorant. A person that's ignorant, we say, excused due to their ignorance and siyam. But they still have to what? Do their best to attain knowledge in this regard. طيب. Next. What's after that, everyone? Where do we stop at? That's in regards to women's meds. I'll talk to the sisters about that. Unless you guys want to speak about that. طيب. Next thing. Next condition. What about the person who's sick? We talked about this last lesson, so let's apply this. What about the person who's sick? We know sicknesses break down to 2 categories. The first one is what, everyone? Keep in mind the majority of the people now these days that we're dealing with these days, or what we're doing now, or who we're dealing with now, a lot of them are ignorant. A lot of them are ignorant, so we have to deal with them in a certain manner. especially in these days and times where ignorance is very widespread. Very, very widespread to the point where it is very scary now these days. Ignorance is very widespread now these days. To the point where things that I thought that certain people would know already, and I really found out they didn't know. I couldn't believe it. But that just shows that we are getting more closer and closer to the last days and times. And each time as we get closer and closer, now it's just being taken away more and more. Due to the death of the ulama and due to those who are not people who are qualified or teaching. And people who follow their desires, just want to please the people and compromise in order to have some money or some dunya. Those are the people that are speaking to the people. Right. So now let's talk about sickness. We said that sickness, model breaks down into two types, right everyone? We said that last week. Didn't we? Right. What about the person that is sick? Number one, the first category, where it's not hope that he'll be cured. That was the first category from last week. Right, everyone? Right, everyone? That was the first category from last week. The first category in which it's not hope that more than likely he will be cured from it at all. Does he have to fast or what? What did we say? No. For example, what's the examples? Diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. Absolutely. Dialysis. A person's on dialysis. And a person that my brother just had open heart surgery. Open heart surgery is something severe. If the doctor says not to fast, then you have to fast. Especially with open heart surgery, it's something that's tremendous. It's a tremendous surgery. For a person that doesn't, for example, have that type of surgery, especially kidney failure, dialysis, cancer, all those will what? Excuse the person from fasting. However, they will have to feed an impoverished person for every day that they broke their fast. That's for a person who's the first category, like we said, and more than likely they will never be, or more than likely what comes to their mind, they will never be cured from that sickness. The only time that's for, and that's, I forgot to tell everyone, that category, more than likely you think in your mind is going to stick with you forever. Unless the person who had surgery, such as what you had, you think you will be healed from it eventually, and you'll be able one day to fast again, then that person will just fast again. Jayyid. If a person, like I said, surgery, usually some people can heal from it, and they'll heal from it perfectly. Some people won't. Maybe they'll always be what? They'll be sick and restrict, and siyam will be extremely difficult upon their body. If that's the case, then like we said, consult with the doctor and see what they say. See if it's something that you can do, if your body can take, if they recommend it or not. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Right. But as far as cancer, diabetes, and those affairs, those for the first category, which is more than likely they will never be cured from it. Right, as they say. For number one, the first category is, like we said. And even Shaykh Uthaymeen mentions this in regard. He says, Al-a'dhal mubiha al-fitr al-marad. Right, for note, put at the heading of what we're about to write down, put at the heading, those reasons or excuses that allow a person to break his fast. Those reasons, what they call al-a'dhar al-mubiha lil-fitr. Al-fitr. Those excuses that will allow a person to break their fast, or not fast. For example, sickness and traveling, as we said last class, right everyone? We said last class, what type of sickness? We said that sickness breaks down into three categories. One is a light sickness, such as a headache, such as a light headache, or such as a stuffy nose, or maybe a little bit of pain in the eye, or a little bit of a light headache, or a light toothache, or what have you. We said that this person should still continue their fast if it doesn't harm them, if it doesn't cause any harm. Their fasting doesn't bring any harm to their body. They still should fast. If they're able to fast, then let them fast. The second is where a person has some difficulty upon them. But of course, the fasting won't harm him. But there is some difficulty. There is some difficulty upon the body. We said here, the person can what? What did we say, everyone? A person here can, we said last week, what was the second? This person here can what? Does he have to fast, or does he have the choice or alternative to break it or fast or break his fast? Which one? What did we say about the second category last week? Huh? That's a lightheaded. I'm talking about the second category of sickness. In regards to the sickness the different sicknesses that we mentioned from last class. There was only one sickness that we mentioned from last class. We said the sickness, which is the third category, which is what we're talking about now, in which he will never be cured from, and he found extreme difficulty to the point where if the fast, he might more than likely die, or it will harm his body. That is the third category we mentioned, in which we're speaking about, which is now. Which is what? The sickness that more than likely you'll never be cured from. Don't worry, everyone. That's all going to come. Just listen to what I'm saying. Anyway, sickness allows a person to break their fast, as long as it's not what? Something very heavy upon his body. Jayid? Right now I'm fasting. I'll suffer from allergies. That's not something of a great difficulty, of course. But in that case, if it's something light, then one should still continue his fast. Even though some of Ahl-Ilm say that you can break it. The second type, which we'll talk about, don't worry, is a sickness that is what? That's difficult, is difficulty upon the body. But it will, if you was to stick it out, you will not kill yourself or it will not damage your body. But you do find difficulty in it. Here, you can break your fast if you have some difficulty. If you have some difficulty upon your body. If there's some difficulty, such as, for example, what everyone? A person might have the flu. That's something difficult. The flu, what else kind of sickness out there is kind of really difficult, but it's going more than likely it might go away. Such as the flu or a common cold or things of that nature. Those type of sicknesses, if one wants to, he could what? He could break his fast. And he would just put it off to after the month of Ramadan, it's over. The last one is a sickness that is what? That will stick to you always. You will never be cured from, more than likely what you think. What comes to your mind, you will never be cured from it. And it's going to more than likely, as you think, stick to you forever till you die. Cancer, diabetes, what have you, right? Those type of sicknesses, then one can, of course, will feed, not fast. You wouldn't even fast in the first place. But just right as the heading, like we said, those excuses that allow one to what? Break his fast. Now a person that is sick or he's traveling, as we're going to talk about, inshallah. Or if a woman is what? Pregnant. She's afraid for herself or afraid for her fetus. أو من الأعذار أيضا تكون المرأة مرضعا تخاف إذا صامت على نفسها أو على رضيعها. من الأعذار أيضا أن يحتاج الإنسان إلى الفطر لإنقاذ معصوم من هلكة. مثل أن يجد غريقا في البحر وشخصا بين أماكن محيطة به فيها نار. To the end of it. He said from those excuses will allow one to break his fast is, for example, sickness. Sickness. In all those categories, we're going to get into it, don't worry. We're going to have to mention it again, because some of the brothers seem like they missed it. But anyway, sickness, traveling, or for a woman to be pregnant. But the also is, the origin is, we're going to talk about it, is that a woman, if she's pregnant, then she will have to what? That's the origins that she still have to fast. Some women out there are strong in their bodies. And fasting does not affect their pregnancy. You'll find that what they call it, the sukht or the mashima, I think they call it, the placenta. The placenta. The placenta stores nutrients. The placenta is there in a woman's baby or in a woman's womb to absorb nutrients and store it. And it gives nutrients to the fetus and to the baby to grow properly. So let's just say a woman didn't eat for a day. All the nutrients are still stored inside of the what they call it, the placenta. That's the job of the placenta. It supplies nutrients to the baby. supplies all the nutrients it needs to grow properly and form properly. To some women out there, you'll find that they're able to fast on Ramadan, no problem. If they start to find difficulty, we're going to talk about it, inshallah. Don't write this down. If they find difficulty upon themselves, then that's when they resort to what? Breaking it. If they feel it's going to what? Harm themselves or harm the fetus. We'll talk about that, inshallah. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Or it might harm, so we'll talk about what they call the leban in her breasts, or what they call إذا ضرها إذا ضر المرضع. If it harms the woman that's breastfeeding. Because some women, like we said, out there, mashallah, Allah has blessed them to have a strong body where they don't need that much nutrients in order for their breast to produce a lot of milk. Some women are the opposite. If 1 day, 2 days go by, then the milk in her breast will become dried up. But however, if a woman now is breastfeeding, she's afraid that it will drop the milk, or it will lessen or decrease the amount of milk that's supposed to be in the what? In the breast, then she can likewise also break her fast. Another just example. Don't worry, all this is going to come and we're going to get more detail. Also likewise, for example, a person that needs to be saved from or be rescued from drowning. And he's in a place where for example, he's besieged or he's enclosed in that particular place, and it is a fire. The only way he can be saved is if you what? One breaks his fast in order to what? Save him. Here it's permissible to what? For one to break his fast, gain his strength, in order to what? Save the person, and make that day up after the month of Ramadan. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So those are affairs that will what? Allow one to break his fast. For example, even in the aspect of fighting in the cause of jihad, during the times of war, of course. For verily they are also from those reasons for one to break his fast, due to the fact that there was the ghazwa, or during the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was called Ghazwat al-Fath, which was the conquest of Mecca. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to his companions, إِنَّكُمْ مُلَاقُوا الْعَدُوِّ غَدًا وَالْفِطْرُ أَقْوَى لَكُمْ فَأَفْطِرُوا. He said, verily you're going to meet the enemy tomorrow. He says, for breaking your fast will be stronger for you, so break your fast. Don't fast. So, these are from the reasons that will allow one to what? To break his fast. These are just in general. We're going to get into details for each category coming, don't worry. For number one is what? Sickness. All the details are going to come. Just keep it general for now. We just said, number one, sickness. Number two, travel. Number three, if a woman is what? Pregnant, and breastfeeding, and she's afraid for herself and the fetus, or the baby that needs to be breastfed. And of course, what comes along with that is those women and men who are elderly. Also likewise. Also, in extreme circumstances such as a one who needs to be saved or rescued. He's in a fire. Or someone that needs to be saved where, for example, let's just say you're a lifeguard. You're Muslim fasting. You're Muslim fasting. Somebody's being drowned or someone's drowning. What do we say? You could break your fast in order to what? Strengthen yourself to save and rescue the individual. Here it is. It's allowed for you to what? Break your fast. After the month of Ramadan is over, then you have to make that day up. If these reasons are now present, this allows one to what? Break his fast. If one breaks his fast in these circumstances, then he does not have to what? He does not have to, if he just started off his day breaking his fast, he's sick, or a woman's breastfeeding, or the woman's pregnant, or she breaks her fast, or when someone is sick, or one is elderly, or one is traveling. Or, you're going to write this down also, a woman that's on her meds. Let's just give a quick example. Let me give you a quick example. Let's just say you and your wife went to travel. A travel that was not pre-planned in order, and I want everyone to be very attentive to what I'm saying here. It's very important. A travel that you did not plan in order to escape fasting for the month of Ramadan. Brothers, I'm saying, why you say that? Because there are people out there that purposely play tricks in order for them not to fast the month of Ramadan. So they go out and they'll purposely plan a what? An excursion or a trip or a family gather or family outing for 20 days, saying, well, Ramadan to Ramadan, let's go to California so we don't have to fast. You travel. That's what you'll find that Ahl Ilm call Ashab al-Hiyal. They're the people of tricks. To use a rukhsa in order to escape them from what? Fulfilling the obligation, the duty at its time. Those people that premeditate these type of tricks, these are the people who you'll find at Ahl Ilm highly degrade and dispraise. So that's the reason why you notice when I said, I was very careful what I said. I said what? Those people who did not plan a trip purposely in order to escape the what? The obligation of fasting. You understand, everyone? A trip, for example, you're traveling, y'all didn't plan it. It's just something that came unexpected. We got to visit my mother, or we want to go travel to visit a couple of relatives outside the city. You haven't seen them in a couple of years. That's something that wasn't premeditated. We're talking about people before the month of Ramadan. They know what's coming, and let's say before the month starts, let's take a trip, and the intent is to purposely not to fast. We're talking about a travel that is what? You just wanted to go, for example, it wasn't planned, you're planning to go on Umrah. That's something virtuous. In the month of Ramadan. Or something to that effect. Or, for example, something of a trip or a plan where you're going to meet some loved ones or relatives or visiting in another city. That's something that wasn't premeditated, right? Just happened, you called, okay, we'll come visit you. No problem. Like, or visiting a person in another city from your Muslim brothers or what have you. Of course, we know, and also there's a person travels, we'll get inside the details, some details with it, but the origin is that if one does not have to fast while he's traveling, right? Like, we'll get into the details, inshallah. Let's just say a person returns back to his city while he's traveling. While he's not fasting. For example, he was in another city, he was traveling, he didn't fast. He took the rukhsa, he took the permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, didn't fast. Right, everyone? When he comes back now to the city, to his residential land or residential city where he's from, does he now have to what? Start fasting again and refrain for the rest of the day? We say no. No, absolutely not. We'll talk about it inshallah. It's all going to come. Once a person arrives, if he started his day where he broke his fast due to an excuse that was legislated by Allah Ta'ala, then a person does not have to fast the rest of that day. For example, likewise, we'll give different scenarios. For example, don't forget your 2 rakat here. For example, the woman that became pure from her mens in the middle of the day. Does she have to start or resume fasting? No. For example, likewise, a woman, let's just say, let me give a better example. Let's just say, for example, a man that came upon the morning, he was sick. Maybe in the middle of the day, his cold went away or whatever, or became lightened upon him. Or the severe virus he might have had, just because, just say it so happened that it became light upon him. Does he have to now resume his fast? No. Similar to a person that travels, he comes back in the city. All that's going to come, no details are going to come, inshallah. Similar to a person now that comes into the city. He comes into the city, he started his day off already what? Not fasting. He broke his fast. I was traveling. Like, for example, I was in New York. I live here in Delaware, I went to New York. Let's just say tomorrow morning, it was on Ramadan, I didn't fast. I came back in the city. So when I arrive back to Delaware, do I have to resume fasting? That same day? That particular day? No. No, you don't. Absolutely. He has to make that day up. No doubt. We're talking about what does he have to do? What is the hukm for him in that particular day? How does he conduct? Does he conduct himself like he was fasting, or he's a person that's not fasting? Which one? He's not fasting. So we'll talk about the other. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he says, whoever ate the first part of the day, then let him eat the last part. Meaning, if you broke your fast from an acceptable legislated excuse. You understand, everyone? From a legislated excuse. There's an author that was mentioned upon Abu Sha'tha from the A'imma. He's from the great A'imma of the past. His name was Abu Sha'tha, Jabir ibn Yazid. There was an author that he came back from traveling. He was traveling and he wasn't fasting. And his wife came off her hamets the same day. So two things happened. He was traveling, so he didn't fast. So he came back into the city. All right. Then his wife was on her mens. Then that same day, her mens stopped. She made a ghusl. So now she will resume, of course, her prayers. But the rest of that particular day, she did not have to fast. Abu Sha'tha was intimate with her that day. He was intimate. If a person understands fiqh, what he did was absolutely what? Lawful. First of all, he was what? Traveling. He came back in, so he didn't have fast that day. Second of all, his wife was on her mens, so she didn't eat, she didn't fast that day. So if a person eats and drinks, it's for all the more reason he can what? Be intimate with his wife. Is it clear what I'm saying? Even when a person is what? Traveling. If he's with his wife, like I said, not a premeditated travel in order to escape Ramadan. I'm talking about that travel. You and your wife went to visit, for example, some loved ones in another city. Something happened. I got to go visit my mother. We live in this. Okay, both you and your wife went out together. Now on the trip, you guys were intimate with each other while you were traveling. It was permissible what? Permissible. Permissible during the day of Ramadan. Why? Because both of them were traveling. Is it clear so far? So those are the things that allows a person to break his fast. Number one is, like we said, sickness, traveling, woman that's on her, of course, on her meds, pregnant, breastfeeding. They're afraid for the fetus or for the baby to not receive the proper nutrients from the milk in her breast. Or, for example, elderly, one being elderly. Or, for example, like we gave in regards to a person that needs to be rescued. It needs to be rescued from a very serious detrimental circumstance. That's all due to the ayah, as we'll talk about, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala says in his book, what everyone, من كان مريضا stop it. كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أيام معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. تنادى الآية سورة البقرة. Allah Ta'ala says in his book, what everyone, what does it say in his book? That whoever from amongst you is what? Sick or traveling from amongst you, then a day till the period of days after the month of Ramadan. As we know, right, everyone? It's Surah Al-Baqarah, which we'll talk about, inshallah. We'll also speak about how a person is supposed to feed. Because there's two types of ways, which we'll discuss next class, inshallah. The two ways that a person is supposed to what? Supposed to feed. From what I know, and I want everyone to know this, even though I have to do some more research, because somebody told me another opinion of Sheikh al-Albani, but I have to check it. That a person is not supposed to precede the days of feeding. What do I mean by that? When Ramadan starts, and a person is sick to the point where he's the worst case scenario, which is, what do we say, everyone? The worst case scenario, which is as diabetes and cancer. Of course, that person will what? Feed. Or he says, for example, kidney failure. Kidney failure, where he's on dialysis. Right, everyone? That person will what? That person will feed. Right. We're going to get into, inshallah. As far as that person, oh Jesus, severe. This is bad season. As far as that person, when he feeds, how would he feed? Those are the questions we're going to answer next class. However, I'm going to leave it off here by saying, brothers, to save yourself from khilaf, try not to precede the days. Like I said, I heard another opinion of the Imam al-Albani, but I have to check it. What I mean by precede the days, meaning once you start the month of Ramadan, start it, then once a day passes by, then you can feed for that one day. Or you can wait till the 10 days. Let's just say 10 days pass by Ramadan, then you can feed 10 impoverished people. Or let's just say 20 days goes by. Then they will feed what? 20. And likewise, and so on and so forth. Not to precede the days of an obligation, meaning during the month of Ramadan. Now, that's what I know. Someone, like I said, I have to check, because someone told me that there was another opinion of the Imam al-Albani, which I'll check. But I know that the majority of what Ahl al-Ilm mentioned say, from the Ibn Baz and even Ibn Uthaymeen, they say you're not supposed to precede the days of obligation. But what was informed by someone else, and I'll check it, is what Sheikh al-Albani said. But for what was incumbent upon a person to stay out of khilaf, what will harm you if a day, a couple of days go by, or some days you can wait to even up to the 28th, let's just say, and then just feed everybody all together. Or till the 27th, just wait until those days have what? Already passed. Don't precede the days of obligation, as they say. It's just like, for example, a person prays and the time didn't come in yet. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying so far? We'll stop here. And then we'll start what was pertaining to these examples of sickness next class, this Friday, inshallah. Inshallah. As far as the question about playing chess, somebody asked me earlier today. Playing chess is impermissible. Playing chess is impermissible. Number one is because you're playing with objects that has pieces of what? Or pictures on it, or images of statues, kind of like mini statues of horses and little horsemen and all these other different things. That's number one. Why they say it's impermissible. Secondly, or why they say it's impermissible, of course, is because you'll find that you'll find that a lot of people that indulge in these type of games, it causes enmity with his brother to the point where they'll say some speech that will actually come out that was not befitting, where it will cause some enmity with your brother, some type of enmity. So number one is because due to the images. Number two, due to the what? Due to the adawa, or the type of enmity that it will cause, which comes, as we know, from the games such as gambling. Also, number three, which you'll find, like we said, in regards to these type of games, that usually causes, you'll find that the person thinks that they're trying to think in order to strategize pieces, and then in the end you'll find that they wasted a lot of time. Wasted a whole lot of time. In regards to it took him away from the remembrance of Allah and the salah. So you'll find the ayah which is in Surah Al-Ma'idah, where Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, He says, إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام يريد من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه لعلكم تفلحون. إنما يريد الشيطان أن يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء في الخمر والميسر وليصدكم عن ذكر الله وعن الصلاة فهل أنتم منتهون. آية وسورة المائدة. Allah Ta'ala says in his book, He says, stay away from, He said, verily intoxicants and maisir, gambling, and ansab, the statues in which you used to slaughter those sacrificial beast or those sacrifices you used to make on those type of altars that you used to sacrifice for other than Allah, all that's impermissible. The point of the ayah is it says khamr and maisir, gambling, and this is also intoxicant. He says all of it is rijis, that it's impure, and it's impurity, and it's rijis, it's just dirty and filthy. Stay away from it in order that you may prosper. Verily the shaitan was to cause enmity between yourselves by these ways, and take you away from the remembrance of Allah and the salah. So will you not refrain? So these ayah is to show that playing chess is what? Chess, and these are the reasons why they say that chess playing is impermissible. Playing something called satranj is impermissible. To stay away from playing it. Any other questions about the lesson?
Just one question. As it pertains to someone in a similar scenario, like, for instance, they're at the airport.
What time is that Isha coming? Also, it should probably be coming right now. Wow, time just keeps getting later and later. Last question, we'll take a little break, bro, so we can prepare for the salah.
Someone's at like the airport, and say for instance, you know whatever thing happened with 9/11 or how they be triggering on, Muslims in the airport, and the Fajr comes in, and they don't feel like comfortable praying in the airport, and they travel. Is it permissible for them to wait until they get to somewhere where they feel normal or pray or whatever? Or should they just go ahead and pray right there at the airport, like a situation like that?
In the airport, for the most part, if they don't find no difficulty in praying at one time, are you traveling or you're not traveling yet? You're traveling.
Yeah. And like Fajr comes in, like you're at the airport, but you're waiting on your plane, but you don't want to pray that. You don't feel comfortable praying like the airport.
Well, comfortability is not a particular condition of whether or not we're supposed to perform our duty. Unless the harm is actually what they say, mutahaqqiq. The harm is actually evident, it's clear, it's going to be a harm. It's not clear, if the harm is clear, that the kuffar are going to harm you if you pray, then if you're able to wait and pray in a plane where the salat is not going out, then pray in that particular area. But if you don't find no harm, where they're not going to harm you at all, because I've been in airplanes, alhamdulillah, every time I prayed, I never faced any difficulty in any airport or any airport. Any airport I went to and I prayed in a corner somewhere, I never faced any difficulty from the non-Muslims. Never did anything. I just took my rug or I prayed to the side somewhere, find the qibla as much as I was able, and prayed. Never found any difficulty. And they don't cause any difficulty upon you, do they? No difficulty. But like I said, that's the reason why I said if it's actually made sure. If you pray here, we're arresting you. If they say that to you, it's clear now. All right, I'll wait till I get on the plane now. Okay, I'll wait till I get on the plane. I fear Allah as much as I am able. Fear Allah as much as you're able. If they now, like we said, if you can't get on the plane and the time is going out, then fear Allah as much as you're able, then pray while you're sitting somewhere. You get it? We'll stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.